Greetings once again. I probably should start by mentioning that I I think about doing one of these things pretty regularly, but the problem is just really lately a lack of any real inspiration. So uh, I can't say that I'm actually forcing myself to do this today, but I don't know. I'm just beat down. I'm sure I'm not the only one. So anyway, so here we are. What do you want to call it? Semi lockdown, pending reopening, uh, phase whatever, phase one, phase two, phase three, phase four, whatever phase you might be in. I don't know. I don't even know what phase I'm in. I don't know what the phase of the moon is today, but at any rate, this whole ordeal has just gotten me to the point of some days feeling like I just want to drive off a darn cliff. It's just it's just ridiculous for lack of a better term. We have reached the stage where damn the torpedoes. We've got to get this economy back going. There's an election coming up in a few months. And, oh, well, so what? Uh, I'm all for bringing it back. I'm sure you guys are too. But it doesn't seem to me to be getting substantially better. Maybe I'm looking at it from the wrong perspective, but I just don't see it. This whole social distancing bit is another thing that every time you turn around, somebody's reminding you, whether it's in person or whether it's on the tube or wherever it is, maintain that social distance. Yet, they want to reopen, like, let's take an example, swimming pools. I don't know how that works. I mean, I don't have a clue. But you know, the one thing I was thinking about the other day was how are things going to look when we get to the point where we're at least back to a semi-normal scenario. Well, the first one of the first things I think that I thought about when it came to that was movies. Being a movie buff, movie fan myself, have been since I was a kid. I remember, I mean, I can remember going to a matinee at a theater where it cost like 20 cents. So, you know, and I don't know if anybody can remember back that far, but I was a fairly independent kid. And when I got a little bit of money, and it didn't take a lot of money back then, you know, you could get in, maybe get you a snack or whatever, pretty cheap. So I've been a movie fan pretty much all my life. And what I find or what I believe is a seismic event like this is going to change how things operate. And I think one of the early indications of the effects of that is the theater going experience. An example would be the latest release in the kids' cartoon animated thing, Trolls, whatever, Trolls Conquer the World, whatever the heck it was called, I can't remember. But the studio that made the film released it straight to video at $20 a throw, for 48 hours of unlimited viewing, as many times as you want to squeeze it in 48 hours. $20 got you the right to do it. They did not release it at the theater because of theater closures and things of that sort, and they of course, wanted to raise some money. And it was unusually successful. The weird part about it was the studio started really making some money on the darn thing. And it caused such a ruckus in the movie distribution food line, whatever you want to call it, that many of the large theater chains, such as AMC, went to the Trolls people and said, "We will never again release anything that you make because you bypassed us and went straight to the theater on this thing and cut us out." Well, I don't know if when theaters are fully operational, people are going to be flocking back to the theater. What I do know is when something like that happens, the business involved with it generally is going to look at things a little bit different than they did in the past and say, hey, we cut the theater out. We didn't have to cut them in on their piece of the action. We got the whole piece of the action when it came to the release of this movie. And so why not consider doing that? Some more in the future, even when things improve and more mobility is allowed and we get back to a more semi-normal scenario. Well, I think all I'm saying is it gives businesses and of course not just theaters, but work at home has been proven to be effective. There's any number of things that I think we're going to see when we come out on the tail end of this that will substantially change life in America as we knew it pre-corona. I don't see that there's any real way around that. And you can't say whether it'll be good or whether it'll be bad, but it will happen. Yeah, I don't think there's any way around it. I mean, it's just the way that it is. I wrote the other day on the thread about my experience eating, at a place, and people are still not ready to embrace. At least I believe in most places. Even when you look at a red state like Missouri, they're not flocking out there. I mean, it's just not happening. You've got some movements. You've got people beginning to stir and all that, but you don't have this grand reopening that a lot of the politicians would like to see, and it still all boils down to the money. I mean, that's just what it really boils down to, in my opinion. If there was a spike, if suddenly we saw a huge increase in the numbers unexpectedly, I don't know what would happen. I don't know if reinitiated lockdown procedures back to square one would take place. I would hope there would be given some consideration to that, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't know, and it rests with people who are in control. I mean, that's just the way that it is, and it's the way that it's always been. Anyway, I wanted to say to everybody that, once again, I hope all of you are doing the best that you can with what you got. And I hope that you're, I guess, adapting. And I'm not even going to use the words new normal because I hate that word too. I just, I mean, I'm sick and tired of hearing it's the new normal. It's the new normal. Well, no, it's not the new normal. Let me have the old normal. That's all I want. But anyway, I I've written in the past about my father. I don't know if anybody remembers. It's one of the things you don't know when you are on a thread for a long time, and you've got the same amount of people that you've always got. Hang on, my phone's ringing. Oh, I studied. I already downloaded all that stuff. I got all the info. All right. Well, if you're still here, thanks for hanging around. Anyway, yeah, so, I don't know who remembers what. I don't even, I mean, does it matter? I don't know. Anyway, wrote about my dad a couple of times and the fact that he was always what I would call he had a thing in his mind where he was, and I hate to use the word closet musician, but he believed that, or you could tell that he thought or wished sometimes that his life had took a different direction than the direction that it took. And he would retreat sometimes to the back bedroom, and he had an old guitar that he'd play around on, and he sang. Um, it didn't do much of that in front of the family. Didn't do anything at all as far as the public at large goes. But he would play softly, and he would sing. And I remember those days. He was a good man, but most of what he messed around with was really more of gospel, more of traditional older bluegrass and things of that sort. And those I remember those days. And I don't know, I think back about them sometimes. Anyway, I'm going to play this one for the old man. On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And I love that old cross where the dearest and best for a world of lost sinners was slain. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. To the old rugged cross I will ever be true. shame and reproach I gladly bear. Then he'll call me someday to my home far away, where his glory forever I'll share. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. Well, if I haven't said it before, let me say it now. Thank you very much for putting up with my stupid ramblings.